Have you ever looked up at the sky, whispered a quiet request to the universe, and got nothing back? No sign, no answer, just that heavy silence that makes you wonder. Is anyone even listening? Stay with this feeling for a moment. Because what looks like silence from the universe is often the exact moment your real conversation with life begins. Most people think of the universe as something out there. A distant power, a cosmic parent, a kind of spiritual customer service line where you file a request and wait for a response. You ask, you pray, you visualize, you script, you repeat affirmations, and when nothing happens, you feel ignored. So you try harder. You speak louder. You get more desperate. But here's the quiet truth I want to offer you. The universe is not a vending machine. It's a mirror. It's not ignoring you. It's reflecting you. That changes everything. Because a mirror doesn't move first. It doesn't smile until you smile. It doesn't shift until you shift. So when it feels like the universe isn't listening, the question is not, why won't life answer me? The question is, what part of me is it reflecting back right now? Think about this. You say you're asking for guidance, but inside you're radiating panic. You say you're asking for love, but inside you're vibrating with unworthiness. You say you're asking for opportunity, but inside you're broadcasting fear of failure. The universe doesn't respond to the words you say once. It responds to the frequency you live in every day. That's why sometimes your prayers feel like they bounce off the ceiling. It's not that nothing is happening. It's that what you're asking for with your mouth and what you're broadcasting with your nervous system are two different things. So the first shift is this. Stop imagining the universe as a distant listener. Start seeing it as an intimate amplifier. It doesn't sort through your words. It responds to your state. When you say, nothing is happening, you're actually describing a very specific spiritual situation. You're tuned to the wrong station. Imagine an old radio. The music is there, the broadcast is clear. But if your dial is even a little off frequency, all you hear is static. If you judge the situation just by the noise, you'd say, there's no music, this isn't working. But the music has always been there. You just weren't aligned with it. The universe is like that. It is broadcasting constantly. Signals of guidance, opportunities, synchronicities, inner nudges, quiet knowing. But if your inner dial is set on fear, rush, noise, and self-doubt, you won't hear it. You will call it silence. So what do you do when it feels like the universe isn't listening? You don't shout louder. You get quieter. You don't push harder. You become more aligned. The first step is radical and simple. Pause. Not as a tactic, as a shift in being. Take your request, your desire, your frustration, and instead of throwing it at the sky, bring it back into your own awareness. Ask yourself, what energy am I actually sending right now? Because life responds to what you are, not what you wish you were. When you beg, you reinforce the energy of lack. When you chase, you reinforce the energy of separation. When you cling, you reinforce the energy of fear. But when you breathe, when you soften your shoulders, when you return to this present moment and say, okay, I'm listening, something subtle begins to change. The universe doesn't suddenly start talking. You finally start hearing. Maybe the delay you hate so much is actually life reorganizing itself behind the scenes. Maybe the closed door is not rejection, but protection. Maybe the silence is not absence, but instruction. Be still. There's something you need to see before you move. I want you to imagine your desire like a seed. When you plant a seed in the soil, you don't shout at it. You don't dig it up every few hours to check if it's growing. You don't argue with the timing of the roots. You create the conditions. You water it. You give it light. And then, you trust. The unseen part of the process is the most important part. The same is true with your life. Before anything blooms on the surface, roots are forming underneath. Roots look like this. Your character being strengthened. Your nervous system becoming more regulated. Your perspective widening. Old attachments loosening. Fears rising up so they can finally be seen. It doesn't feel magical. It doesn't feel like manifestation. It often feels like confusion, waiting, uncertainty. But roots are not a sign that nothing is happening. They're proof that something deep is being prepared. When the universe seems quiet, instead of asking, why aren't things moving? Try asking, what is being rooted in me right now? Am I being prepared to handle what I'm asking for? Am I being stretched so I don't collapse under the weight of my own desires? You wouldn't hand a child the keys to a car just because they cried hard enough. You wait until they can actually drive. Life does the same with you. So in those moments when you feel unheard, unseen, unanswered, I want you to remember this. The universe is not punishing you. It's positioning you, not ignoring you, aligning you. And the very first doorway into that alignment is not another technique, another ritual, another affirmation. It's simple, honest awareness. What am I really broadcasting right now? Because when that changes, everything else begins to move. If you've ever asked the universe for a sign, a shift, a breakthrough, and heard nothing in return, don't rush to believe that life has ignored you. What feels like silence is rarely silence. More often, it is instruction, it is rearrangement, it is life moving beneath the surface, preparing you for what you're asking for in ways you cannot yet perceive. Most people misunderstand the universe. They approach it as if it were a cosmic vending machine. I asked, I visualized, I affirmed, why isn't anything happening? But nothing in this universe responds to words alone. Everything responds to alignment. And alignment is not noise. Alignment is frequency. Life does not answer your requests. Life answers your state. This is why wanting harder rarely works. Because wanting is a vibration of distance. Wanting says, what I desire is not here yet. And so the universe mirrors that frequency back to you. But when you begin to soften into the emotional tone of already having, when you relax your nervous system and allow your consciousness to step into the feeling of it being done, everything shifts. Wanting contracts your field, receiving expands it. Imagine tuning a radio. The broadcast is already there, clear, coherent, waiting. If you turn the dial slightly off frequency, all you hear is static. You might think nothing is happening, but the signal is present. You are simply not aligned with it. This is manifestation. The universe is never silent. We are simply off frequency. When people say, the universe isn't listening, what they often mean is, my outer world hasn't changed yet, so I assume nothing is happening. But the outside world is the last layer to shift. Before the physical moves, the internal must reorganize. And so life becomes quiet. Your plans slow down. People drift away. Old identities feel too small. Opportunities pause. Not because you are forgotten, because you are being restructured. Silence is refinement. Silence is preparation. Silence is the universe holding you in a sacred pause so you do not receive prematurely. If a seed sprouted the moment a gardener planted it, the stem would break instantly. Roots must form first. And in your life, your roots are your emotional stability, your clarity, your identity, and your readiness to hold what you've asked for. If the universe delays, it is not denial. Delay is development. Let me take you deeper. When your request comes from fear, from desperation, from lack, from insecurity, the universe reflects that vibration. Not your words. The universe does not hear sentences. It hears frequency. Many people say they want a new life, a new love, a new opportunity, but beneath the request is fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of being unworthy. Fear of failure. Fear of standing still. The universe cannot build abundance on the foundation of fear. Fear is unstable. It collapses under pressure. Life waits until your inner structure is strong enough to support the reality you are calling in. This is why the silence feels long. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. Let me offer a gentle example. A man prays for success, imagining wealth and recognition, but beneath the prayer is a wounded desire to prove himself, to silence his insecurities. That energy is incompatible with true success. If he received what he asked for from that state, the weight of it would collapse him. So the universe does something compassionate. It waits. It strengthens him before it blesses him. This is the kind of love most people never recognize. Now, let us explore surrender, not as weakness, but as wisdom. Surrender does not mean giving up. Surrender means giving over, allowing life to move you instead of forcing your way through fear. It is the same as teaching a child to float. When they thrash, the water cannot support them. But when they relax, the water holds them effortlessly. The universe works exactly like this. When you force, when you panic internally, when you chase outcomes with desperation, life cannot support you. But the moment you soften, the moment you breathe, the moment you release your grip on the timing, the universe rises beneath you. You float. This is why quietness is powerful. Quietness is not emptiness. Quietness is awareness. Quietness is where guidance enters. When the universe seems silent, life is not abandoning you, it is inviting you into deeper listening. And deeper listening only happens when the mind becomes still enough to perceive the subtle signals that were always present. The universe does not shout. It whispers. And whispers cannot be heard in internal noise. So when life seems unresponsive, do not speak louder. Become quieter. As the noise inside you reduces, you begin to feel the gentle pull of intuition, the small nudges, the subtle direction shifts that were drowned out before. You realize that what looked like dead ends were reroutes. What looked like losses were protections. What looked like delays were alignments. You begin to see life not as an obstacle, but as choreography. And once you understand that, the silence no longer scares you. You recognize it as intelligence. You trust it as guidance. You honor it as part of becoming who you are meant to be. The universe is not ignoring you. It is shaping you. It is tuning you. It is aligning you. And the moment you vibrate at the frequency of what you desire, the silence breaks, and life responds instantly. Because life always responds to resonance. Always. Theme, alignment, surrender, frequency, and the deeper intelligence of the universe. Voice style, calm, deep, reflective, Alan Watts x Neville Goddard x Quantum Awareness. There is a moment in your journey when life stops responding the way you expect it to. You ask, you visualize, you affirm, and nothing changes. But what seems like silence is not rejection. It is initiation. We tend to believe the universe is meant to respond to our requests instantly. We imagine life as a system that should reward desire with manifestation. But desire alone does not create reality. Frequency does. The universe does not respond to words. It responds to your state of being. And your state of being is shaped by something far deeper than thought. It is shaped by your alignment. When the universe appears not to listen, it is often because you are vibrating at the frequency of wanting instead of the frequency of receiving. Wanting says, "It is not here." Receiving says, "It is already mine." Wanting creates distance. Receiving collapses distance. Pause for a moment and feel the truth inside your body. The universe answers coherence, not noise. It answers the vibration of embodiment, not the vibration of desperation. Let us go deeper. Imagine for a moment that you are a radio. The station you want, the frequency of abundance, clarity, love, awakening, is already broadcasting. But if your dial is even slightly off, you will only hear static. The static is not the universe ignoring you. The static is your misalignment. And so the question becomes, how do you tune yourself to the frequency of the life you desire? Not by forcing, not by begging, not by insisting, but by becoming. Becoming is not pretending. It is not wearing a mask. Becoming is relaxing into the truth of who you would be if your desire were already fulfilled. When you shift your emotional tone, your identity shifts with it. And when your identity shifts, your reality has no choice but to follow. Quietness, the gateway to clarity. Most people drown out the whispers of the universe with the noise of their fears. They think they are waiting for guidance, but their inner chaos is too loud to hear it. The universe does not compete with your noise. It waits for your quiet. Quietness is not emptiness. Quietness is intelligence. Quietness is awareness uncluttered by expectation, fear, or urgency. When you become still, truly still, the guidance that has always been there finally becomes audible. You begin to notice synchronicities you once dismissed. You sense subtle shifts in direction. You recognize the next step without forcing it. You feel supported, carried, accompanied by something larger than your thinking mind. You are no longer trying to control life. You are participating with life. Delay is preparation, not punishment. There is a profound truth that must be understood if you want to move in harmony with the universe. The universe never denies. It rearranges. When something is delayed, it is because roots are growing underground. A new foundation is forming within you, one strong enough to hold the reality you're asking for. If the blessing arrived too early, it would overwhelm you. If the manifestation came before your identity expanded, you would sabotage it. Delay is not life working against you. Delay is life preparing you. You are not being punished. You are being shaped. A child is not given the keys to a car just because they want them. They are given the keys when they are ready. The universe works the same way. Desire versus destiny. Sometimes the silence you fear is actually protection. Protection from an identity too small. Protection from a path too narrow. Protection from a future that cannot hold who you are becoming. Human desire is often shaped by fear. Fear of lack. Fear of rejection. Fear of insignificance. But destiny is shaped by expansion. Destiny is the path of your unfolding. Destiny calls you into experiences that awaken your deepest potential. There were moments in my life when I wanted something so intensely that I mistook intensity for alignment. But intensity rooted in fear is not alignment. It is attachment. And attachment is the opposite of creation. When life said, no, it was not refusing me. It was redirecting me. It was expanding me. What you think you want is often far smaller than what life intends for you. Surrender, the art of becoming available. Surrender is one of the most misunderstood concepts in spiritual awakening. Surrender is not giving up. Surrender is giving over. It is the moment you stop wrestling with life and begin to move with it. The moment you stop demanding outcomes and begin listening to deeper intelligence. The moment you stop forcing the river and allow the river to carry you. A swimmer who fights the water sinks. A swimmer who relaxes floats. Life works the same way. You are not here to impose your will on the universe. You are here to align with the intelligence that already knows your path. Surrender is the opening through which that intelligence enters. When the universe seems silent, look inward. The silence is not external. The silence is the absence of inner coherence. When your desire, your belief, your identity, and your emotional frequency do not match, manifestation pauses. The universe does not respond to fragmented intention. It responds to unified being. To ask for abundance while vibrating lack is incoherence. To ask for love while vibrating fear is incoherence. To ask for clarity while vibrating chaos is incoherence. But the moment your inner world harmonizes, the outer world reshapes itself automatically. That is alignment. That is resonance. That is the true mechanics of creation. When you begin to understand the true nature of alignment, something extraordinary happens inside you. You stop trying to force life into your timeline. And instead, you begin to feel the deeper rhythm that has been guiding you since the moment you were born. This rhythm is not loud. It's not dramatic. It doesn't shout instructions or issue demands. It speaks softly, through intuition, through synchronicity, through the subtle pull of what feels alive. And when the universe appears not to respond to you, it is often because you have been listening with your expectations rather than your awareness. The universe does not respond to demand. It responds to coherence. Coherence is the state in which your thoughts, your emotions, and your deeper intention vibrate in harmony. It is the moment when the frequency you emit finally matches the frequency of the experience you desire. Most people struggle not because they are incapable or unworthy, but because they are broadcasting mixed signals, one moment trusting, the next doubting, one moment surrendering, the next grasping for control. And every time you shift your emotional tone, you shift your frequency. This is why silence often meets you. Not because life is ignoring you, but because your signal is inconsistent. Think of a lighthouse. If its beam flickered on and off randomly, ships would lose their way. But because its light is steady, everything in its path can find alignment. You must become that steady light. And this steadiness is born not from effort, but from presence. Presence is the key that unlocks alignment. Presence is the state in which you stop rehearsing old fears and stop projecting imagined futures. It's the moment you return fully to yourself. And in that return, clarity arises. You begin to hear the subtle instructions that were drowned out by the noise of your mind. You notice signs you previously overlooked, opportunities you once dismissed, and inner guidance that was always available but never fully received. Quietness is not emptiness. Quietness is revelation. When you enter this quiet space, a profound realization emerges. You were never waiting for the universe. You were waiting for your own alignment. Now let's go deeper. What most people call lack of results is actually a phase of energetic reorganization. It is the unseen part of manifestation, the way roots form before a tree breaks the soil. You cannot see the roots, but without them, the tree cannot survive. The universe builds your reality from the inside out, starting with your identity, your emotional tone, your energetic field. If these foundations are unstable, the manifestation cannot hold. So when life slows down, when progress stops, when silence fills your path, It is often because something essential is being strengthened within you. Life does not deny you, it prepares you. And this preparation is not punishment, it is precision. The universe does not give you what you ask for, it gives you what you can hold, what you can sustain, what you can embody. If you want abundance but still identify with limitation, abundance cannot land. If you want love but still fear vulnerability, love cannot stay. If you want expansion but cling to comfort, expansion cannot begin. The universe matches resonance, not desire. This is why becoming is more powerful than asking. Asking says, I do not yet have. Becoming says, I am already the one who receives. And the universe responds to that identity with astonishing speed. So the real question is not, why isn't the universe listening? The real question is, what version of myself is asking? If the asking comes from fear, the universe shows you more fear, not as punishment, but as reflection. If the asking comes from doubt, the universe mirrors that uncertainty so you can transcend it. But if the asking comes from alignment, from quiet confidence, from inner knowing, from embodied identity, life opens effortlessly, naturally, without force. Now, allow me to guide you into the most important shift of all. The moment when you stop chasing signs and begin recognizing that you are the sign. You are the tuning fork. You are the vibration. You are the signal the universe responds to. When you raise your frequency, reality rearranges. When you soften into trust, timing accelerates. When you stop trying to control outcomes and begin aligning your inner state, the entire world around you begins to move. Because the universe does not follow your words. It follows your inner tone. And once you understand this, you stop begging the universe for answers. Instead, you become the answer. You walk differently. You speak differently. You breathe differently. You make choices not from fear, but from identity. And slowly, quietly, powerfully, the universe bends toward you. Remember this. Silence is not the absence of response. Silence is the rearranging of reality. When nothing seems to be happening, everything is happening. When the universe feels still, something is unfolding beneath the surface. When you sense delay, life is building the version of you who can receive what you asked for. And once that version is ready, the manifestation arrives effortlessly, sometimes so naturally that you forget you ever struggled. This is the heart of alignment. This is the essence of manifestation. This is the moment you stop asking and start becoming.